Okay, so we are recording now, and I want to welcome you all to the new Real Wellness YouTube channel. This is the very first time that we're actually doing a video of an interview actually specifically for this YouTube channel. And it is just befitting to have the wonderful Miss Lisa Harris with me. And the reason being is because Miss Lisa is actually the forward in my book, Breaking My Family Poor Health Chain. So it's just amazing to have her on as the first guest to ever be on the YouTube channel, and to be coming with such good information that I think you guys are going to enjoy. And if it's not going to be inspiring to you or for you, I guarantee you it'll be inspiring to or for someone else. So make sure that you subscribe and that you also like the video and share it. Of course, this is social media, so we want to make sure that we're sharing everything, right? So, Miss Lisa, what I want you to do is, one, welcome. Thank you so much for letting me interview you. And,
thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're more than welcome. So what I want to do is I really want you to just kind of talk about who you are and how we met and how you started working with me. So why don't we start there?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Ta-Wanda. It's actually an honor to be here. My name is Lisa Harris. I'm a single mom of two young men that's amazing to me. I was diagnosed in July of 2019 with stage 2 breast cancer. And when I did, when you hear that C word, that's a shock to you. And honestly, I was searching and trying to reach out, and I was lost. I didn't know what to do and who to talk to. And we have a mutual friend. And one day I called her and I was just crying and I was so upset. And I was truly at my darkest point. And I was like, I need help. Something, I was like, I have stage 2 breast cancer and your mind is playing tricks on you. I'm thinking about my children, and she told me to reach out to you. And I remember that day like it was yesterday. I was on my way to my mom's house and I text you. And you reached back to me like we had been knowing each other for years. And that was the start of a friendship, a workmanship, and everything. So that's how we actually started to actually begin talking.
Okay, gotcha. Yes, I remember it all. It was wonderful. Now, so from that point, tell me, so you actually did our Road to Wellness program, which is the one-on-one program. So you actually did the program. How was the program for you?
Challenging. It's very challenging. It's challenging, but it's the best decision I ever could have made. I'm 45 now. When I was diagnosed, like I said, it was 2019, so I was 43. So for 43 years, I've been doing things my way, or doing things the way that either is right or wrong, whatever choice you choose to make. So trying to transform and make those changes after, you've been instilled with this stuff for so long, it's hard. So, but it was the best decision I could have made. I mean, and today actually confirmed that, be honest with you. So,
okay, wait, don't tell it yet. So we're gonna get to all of that. So okay. Before we get to all of the good stuff, which is why we really wanted to do this call, kind of walk me through your process of going through the program. Like, how was it beneficial to you to go through the program? And how did that help you on your journey as you were, going through this whole major battle with cancer?
So, like I said, when you hear that C word, I'm if I can at least explain, what happened. Like my birthday's in July. So that week I will celebrate my party and my birthday, having a great time. And then I went to go get my, yearly checkup, and it was a knot that had been on my, on my chest, and it had been there for, a while. And each time I went, I had several mammograms. They told me it wasn't cancerous. So finally, this time I went to my doctor. I said, "Hey, doctor, something, this knot is still here." And he's like, "You know what? We may," and when he felt it, he's like, "We may just want to call and go." They had sent me to Wake Med. They's like, "You may just want to go ahead and just go back and see what's going on." So I did. I thought, okay. So I called and they told me to come in. And to be honest with you, Ta-Wanda, I had a panic attack because it's like, oh my God, what's about to happen? So my sister was with me. And when I went there, they tried to abstract it out and they couldn't. It was hard. And they kept saying, well, it's okay. It'll be fine. But then when they sent me to a specialist at Wake Med, the doctor tried to do it. It was I think they call it a guided biopsy, if I'm not mistaken. That's the correct terminology. So when she did it, I saw her eyes and she tried to do it and she looked, she's like, but it's going to be okay. So when she said, I was like, okay, this is not good. So she told me she'll get results from my doctor and give me a call back. So as I'm walking to my truck, I literally had a panic attack. I'm like, oh my, I knew then something was wrong. So that next day I got the call. It was 3:23 p.m. to be exact. I was sitting on my couch and the call came. When I saw the number come up, I said, hello. She, Lisa, this is Dr. So-and-so. It came back cancerous. I'm like, what came back cancerous? She said, the lump came back cancerous. And immediately I cried. I'm like, no, but and then she's like, this is an aggressive cancer. We got to get on it as soon as possible. I'm like, oh, so Nan's aggressive. After I've been coming to y'all with 3 mammograms, Nan's aggressive. So she's like, I want you to get to the best doctor. I want you to get in. So, this was on July the 30th. So from there, the next day they wanted me to call the oncologist, and and it started rolling just that quick. I was here to get an MRI done. My mom was with me, and she's the most amazingest person anybody could ask for. And from there, I went from MRI. August 15th was my first set of chemo. So I literally started chemo within 2 weeks. I had no time to process anything. And to be honest with you, I didn't tell my children because I'm a single mom of 2 boys. And all they know is me. I'm like, how do I tell my kids that their mom has cancer? And so, to be honest with you, and I didn't know it was stage 2 until the day before the chemo started, because you have to go through a process. They have to go through, the radiology. I'm sorry. So when I got to my oncologist, he sat there with my mom, and he's like, it's stage 2 cancer, and it's an aggressive cancer. And it's triple negative. For anybody who knows the history behind triple negative, unfortunately, some of the results sometimes are not as promising as some could be. So immediately, and I was devastated. But my mom, she's like, okay, now let's fight. And I remember her telling me, I was driving home that day, she's like, after the MRI, and the next day I was about to have, start chemo per se. She's like, okay, now it's time to fight. So I started chemo that August 15th. My sister went with me. And to be honest with you, Ta-Wanda, with my first chemo, I'll never forget, I was so nervous. But when I came in there, and I met a young lady named Kim, and unfortunately, she passed away. But when I came in the door, I came in with a spirit, and I was just like ministering to people. I was telling them about I love hair. I hadn't lost hair yet. So I was just talking about, they was like, hey, is that a lace front wig you got on? So we were just talking and so from that point on, that's how my journey started. Will I tell you that it was an easy journey? It wasn't. And then I started losing my hair, and I started going through the process of going through chemo. And as they call it, they gave me the most, I guess they said it was one of the toughest chemo treatments. They wanted to try to kill it, and you have people that say they don't do chemo, and at the point, I didn't know what to do, to be honest with you. I had never dealt with cancer before. So I'm like, what do I do? But I knew I had to fight. And if I'm being honest, at first, I didn't fight at first. The first few weeks, I was depressed. I was down and out. And I was reaching out and trying to, and I've been in church all my life, but at the time I was mad. I was just, hey, Lord, really? You gave me cancer? That's just how I felt.
Yeah.
And I'm just being honest with you. So that's where my journey started. And from there, it took off.
It took off. Okay.
Yes.
So the journey started, you were devastated. You had to get through this. You had family support there, and you were kind of doing everything that you needed to do. You were listening to your doctors and all that good stuff, right?
Yes.
So now I want you to intro the Road to Wellness program, and kind of what would you say was, or tell me a couple of things that actually were beneficial, that you feel like were beneficial to you through the process.
So when I reached out to you, like I said, I didn't know who Ta-Wanda was until, like I said, I don't know if I can say her name or not.
That's just a crying shame. I just want you to know that you didn't
know. I know. So, but like I said, I'm not sure if I can mention her name or not, but we have a mutual friend, and she actually told me to reach out to you. So when I reached out to you, you said something to me, and to this day, I have that text with me. And you asked me, did I want things to stay the same? And I was like, no, I don't want things. I got cancer. I don't want things to stay the same. She said, so, I want to say, I'm about to say, I don't like her already. But I'm like, no. And you're like, so you have to, are you ready to make a change? I'm like, Ta-Wanda, I have to fight. I have children. You know, I get emotional when I talk to my children.
Yeah.
So and finally I was texting you, and finally you was like, let me just call you. So you actually called me. You was like, you know, she said, are you ready? I said, I'm ready. I do whatever it takes. She said, this is not going to be an easy road for you. She said, but you can do it. We're gonna have to make changes. She said, you know, we're gonna start with your mindset, your eating, and it went on from there. So from that point, I met with you, and when I say, I think my hardest battle is the mindset. I feel like if you can conquer your mindset, you can conquer anything. Because deep down, growing up, I'm the youngest of 7, and I have the best parents ever. But you know, you get instilled with so much stuff and so many things, and I thought I was eating right. I thought I was reading labels right. It was so much stuff I thought I was doing right. And pretty much, like I said earlier, you just slapped me in the face like, no, that's not right. So that battle, that was hard. And changing, I look back now, changing my eating habits wasn't as hard as I thought it would be compared to now. Like, you can't, certain things I refuse to go back and eat. I just won't do it. But that also comes with the mindset. So I really feel like the mindset was so important, and it played a big part in my healing process.
Okay. So the mindset was the hardest, and it was the one of the things that you feel like you really needed to do in order to get through this process.
Yeah, because you have to change, and even now, you have to change the way you think, or to. For me, I can only make this personal for me now. I can't speak for anyone else's journey but Lisa. I had to speak life that I was going to get through this. I had to speak life as far as, you know, I remember going inside something when I used to go into cancer, and whoever, I'm not sure people who've been in the chemo room, but I remember going in there and I'm like, okay, Lord, you know, this medicine, is healing me. You know, even though I didn't like the stuff, but I was like, this is it's doing it's doing its job.
So let me ask you a question, because I remember when I told you to go in there, and I'm like, Lisa, you're going to think about this every single time you go in there as this process. And I remember telling you what to think. Like, did you think I was crazy when I was telling you?
I did. I thought to say, you ain't got to go through it. You know? And I was like, real, I'm gonna go in there. This they call it the Red Devil. That's the name of, and I told them, like, they give me some of the most hardest chemo at first, and they call it the Red Devil. I'm like, no, this is not what we're gonna do. So I would go in there, and you know, you had to go, you know, had to get the port put in. And so when I would go in there, and I would just sit there, and I would just talk to my, you know, and I would tell, you know, even the nurse, I'm like, no, you know, we're going to have to pray for you touch me. You know, this is serious. You know, I know she thought I was crazy sometimes. And, you know, and I was like, no, you know, and so I would just sit there either with my music going, or I would sit there with my books, or I would sometimes bring my laptop to work, or sometimes I really just met people and I just talked to them. And I would sit there for a couple hours, but I would just talk and minister to them, and it would go by so fast. I'm like, oh, I'm done. You know, and I met a young lady there, and she was like, she made a comment, and she was older lady. And she's like, if I didn't see that actually going into you, I would have never known you had cancer. She said, your outlook is so different. And I was like, and I said, you know, and, you know, I was like, if I can touch somebody through this journey, I don't know why God put me in this journey, but somebody need to talk to me, or somebody I have to talk to while I'm in here. And that's what I did. Each time I went in there, I just talked to people. I met 2 young ladies that we are still to this day. We talk, and we reach out to each other probably once a week or once every 2 weeks to this day. And even then, they like, sometimes they like, Lisa, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't get through that. They said you had one of the best outlooks and personalities. I'm like, and I didn't think I did. I'm like, y'all, I'm fighting just like y'all fight. I'm fighting for my life too, you know?
Yeah. Nice. I love it. Okay. So now talk to me about you explaining kind of what you were doing to your doctors and your nurses, and because we had lots of conversation about this. And so I just want you to kind of explain what they did, what they said to you, and just kind of how some of those conversations went.
Yeah. So my doctor, like I said, I think I had the best team. I'm not gonna lie. They, you know, and I told them, I said, you give me the best y'all have. And, you know, they didn't, a lot of them, I guess in modern day medicine or whatever, they don't, you know, or I don't know if that's the right word, but there was certain medicine they don't like for you to use. They said it contradicts with the chemo. And once again, I can't speak for no one else's journey but mine.
Right.
But I would go in there and I would go in there each time. And I was like, okay, now what we going to do today, doc? You know, what's going on? And he was like, okay, this is what we need to do. You know, this is, you know, stage 2. And then, but he said something to me. He's like, and even he went back, he's like, I had that lump for 2 years. And it's so amazing to me that lump never grew. It did grow, but it grew so small that we could be having a whole different conversation right now. But I would go there and he would just talk to me. And I was like, you know, he would say stuff to me. And I'm like, no, we just going, I see, you know, we going to do this differently. I said, I'm just going to go there.
What was he saying? What did he say? You can't.
Well, it was more to the point. He was telling me what triple negative cancer was. And he was saying how, he was like, you know, some people come through triple negative, some people don't. So he did his job.
Right.
And he told me what was supposed to happen. And he's like, you know, and I was like, well, that's not going to happen to me. I said, that's not going to happen. I was like, we're going to speak life in this thing. I said, I'm going to come through this. I'm going to come through it better than I did before. And he's like, you know what, Miss Lisa, I like how you talk. I said, I have to fight. And by then I'm in fight mode. I wasn't depressed then, but I was in fight mode. And I was like, he asked me, he's like, so, and at the time when I was going into chemo and going to, you know, I did start losing weight. And of course I was losing my hair, but I never threw up. Did the chemo weigh you down some? I went there and said it didn't. But he made a comment to me. He's like, I've never seen anybody go through chemo the way you went through chemo. He said, what are you doing? And I told him, I said, doctor, I said, I'm fighting. And I remember looking at him, I said, I'm fighting. I said, but what, at the same time, I said, you know, and I could only eat tuna fish. I don't know why my mom would come home. She would be there after my chemo and she would be in the kitchen making me tuna fish. And I would just lay on my couch. And I had a cousin at the time and we would just sit there and we'd pray. And he said, you got this, Lisa. And he was going through stage 4 colon cancer. But we was encouraging it. He said, you got this. And I'm like, cousin, this is hard. He said, but you got this. And I just really just started I had to just change how I was like, no, this is not going to kill me. I'm going to get through this. And I had to really change how I thought and understand my kid still doesn't know what's going on because I kept it from them for a reason. You know, my hands is turning black. My neck was turning black. My body was truly changing. It was sucking everything out of me. But I would get up, I would go walking, I would go get vitamin D, I would sit in the sun. As they say, I would ground myself. Stuff that you taught me that I truly didn't know would work. You know, I would just go sit, I would be so weak, but I would go to the track and I would just walk around. I didn't care if it took me 3 hours, I would just walk around the track and I would just walk around, you know, and I would drink.
Let's talk about the skipping around the track.
Oh my God, you know I can't skip. You know I can't skip. I thought I could skip growing up. I was like, I thought I could skip. But you would come and, you know, I said, even with you would come and you like, come on, we would go and try to skip. And, you know, I'm like, I'm going through chemo. This girl want me to skip around the track.
Yeah.
But I did. And I went, you know, and, you know, even when I, you know, went back to my nurse and she said, most people can't handle this chemo. This is one of our strongest chemo. And they call it the Red Devil for a reason. She said, but you come in, and I did. I'm not gonna lie. I came there with my, you know, by then I had to buy a lot of wigs. I had my wigs on, my makeup on. I was cute every time I came up in chemo. And it was like, and then my aunt started going, it's like, I never knew who was getting chemo because you would just sit there in the chair like nothing was wrong. And I was like, well, somebody, and I just kept feeling like, Lord, there's a reason why I'm going through this. Somebody need to talk here. Somebody need to hear from me. Even now I keep saying, there's a reason that I went through this thing, you know, but it also showed me that a lot of my bad habits caught up with me, if I'm being honest with you.
Okay.
And
so that's a good one. I like that because you also mentioned earlier that you were celebrating your birthday prior to this. So for you pretty much thought you were healthy, right?
I did. I deep down, if you had asked me, and you asked me, I did a question. Yeah. And you said, do you think, yeah, I'm healthy? You know, I said, I was lost weight. You know, I thought I ate pretty decent. I was taking my vitamins. Deep down, I thought I was healthy, but mentally I wasn't healthy. Physically, I mean, and I wasn't healthy, but I did not know that because we put on this, I'm not gonna say Lisa put on such a facade and put such a mask on that you think you're healthy and deep down, I wasn't. So between the stress and the life and, you know, that stuff weighs on you. And
Yeah.
it finally, I guess, knocked me down.
Yeah. So I love it. I love this. I love your story. So let's go ahead and let's give them the info. So throughout this whole process, we're working, or not throughout the whole process, but once we started working together in September, we went through this whole process. And so you did chemo, radiation, and was that it?
I did chemo, surgery, and then radiation.
Chemo, surgery, and radiation. And throughout this whole process, okay, let's just be honest. So we were doing a lot of stuff together because we live in the same town. So like, guys, legit, I had this chick all over the place. Like we were, like she said, we were at the gym, at the track. We were going to Juice Keys like almost every other day and eating you know, their organic smoothies and stuff like that. We were going to restaurants, like I was showing her how to eat a different like we did a lot of stuff, but I kept her busy, kept her traveling and doing stuff. So like through this process, she's still going through all of this and she's still living, you know, like I'm like, okay, we need to live life, right? So what does that look like? And so we had a lot of good times. We took a couple trips and did some stuff. And I love like just kind of, like you said, like the energy and everything that you had going on, like it was really good. I really got a chance to see sides of you and just see you grow so much, like from the first conversation to like the growth on you is amazing. So I appreciate it and I love it. And I love that you continue to fight. And not only did you do that, but you also changed your children, some things with your children. And I shouldn't say you changed it, but they saw what you were doing and they started doing some things and they started also encouraging and making sure that you were on top of it. But I love that the information that you learned, you also shared it with them. And your oldest son was like literally in college doing stuff and like calling you like, Mom, what do I do? Like, and that when you can touch your family members like that, because you going through it is one thing, but to have young boys that are like, oh no, I'm changing up what I'm doing. And, you know, and he's an athlete, you know, he's in college and he's looking to do healthier things. Like, I love it because you're not only changing you, but you're changing their future, you know, as how they look at stuff. And he's not going to go through a lot of the things that we went through because now they're getting at a younger age. So that's awesome. So now, through all this process, we're still, you know, going through the whole, you know, Road to Wellness program where we're looking at the blood work all, you know, continuously and your food and what we call the 8 essential lifestyle functions. So we're really diving into all of those, the mindset, the nutrition and everything. And we're getting good results and good updates and all that stuff, you know, throughout the process. So today, what was today for you? Tell me what today. Tell us what happened.
So because of, like I said, I was triple negative. So they had me on I guess a wellness plan, and I had to go every 6 months to get checked out. And so today was my 2.5 years checkup. I guess that's the right word. So I went Thursday and got my mammogram and had blood work. So today I had to go see my oncologist. And throughout this process, he's been asking me questions like, Lisa, what have you done? You know, so today when I met him, and he's like, you are truly one of my greatest success stories. I said, well, thank you. And he's like, even today he came in and he said, he read over my number. He's like, you are more healthier now than you did before you had cancer. I was like, huh? He said, your numbers right now does not even, if I was just coming into you as a doctor to see you, unless I had knew you had surgery, I would never known that you had chemo or radiation or you had cancer. He said, the numbers does not show that. He said, the chemo had no effect on your body whatsoever. So you know me, I'm a little crybaby. I'm like, oh my God. And he said, you know, Miss Lisa, he said, you're truly healthy. He said, the chemo had no effect on your body whatsoever. He said, and most people can't say that. He said, and, you know, the next 6 months, you know, as far as getting to the 3-year mark is a real, you know, celebration, because there's a chance that, you know, the probability of the cancer ever coming back, that it won't come back. I said, well, it's not going to come back. You know, I have to believe this.
So what you're saying is So the first 3 years, they say that there's possibility of it coming back. After the third year, you have a lesser chance of it possibly coming back. So,
Correct.
so far, we're saying congratulations for 2.5 years
Yes.
of changing your habits and changing up things so much so that your body is in a state that was healthier than you were before you even had cancer.
Correct.
So he saw this because he was your doctor prior to that.
Correct.
So he's
Correct.
seen everything that's going on. So he's telling you that you're healthier now, and it looks like you did not have any signs of chemo or anything.
No, he said if he went by my numbers and just look, if I would just come to see him as a regular checkup and look at my numbers, he said there's no indication that the cancer, chemo, or radiation had any effect on my body whatsoever. He's like, I don't know what you're doing, but keep doing what you're doing. So it made me feel. So it did. I was like, wow, it's working, and not just that, not just today, but even when I went before, he was saying he was telling me then, like, Miss Harris, I don't know what you're doing. He said, but he said, even with my immune, he said, I think something had happened. I went to go get my blood work. And he said, your immune system is stronger than most people that never had cancer before. With the COVID and everything going on, I'm very cautious. I'm very, I probably could be a little bit better, being more, but he was just like, your immune system is so strong that there's no, he's like, I don't understand what you're doing. And I said, even today, he made a comment to me about, a study that they wanted me to be in. I was like, yeah, but I didn't agree with some of the things she was saying to me. He's like, really? I said, yeah. She wanted me to eat certain things. And I told her, no, that's not good for me. And he's like, oh, wow. Okay. He's like, that's interesting. So I know I'm like, well, I do as my doctor say, please know that if anyone listen that it's not that I do not, but
right.
I had to take my health.
I think the good thing is one, you were able to have, and this is one of the things that we really do with the Road to Wellness program, is you start to understand your body and know what's beneficial for you. Like that, correct. Like that whole I have a PhD in me thing is real, right? Like you're the one that's working with him and talking with him, and you guys are a team at this point, correct. So you listen to him, he listens to you, and you guys have this relationship, right? And that's correct. What it's about. But oftentimes we don't know certain things, so we're just kind of like, okay, and we just do it because we have no understanding. But you were actually now getting like all this information, and you were learning and studying and understanding your body and even how things felt, and really tapping into a lot of things. So that allowed you to have a different conversation with your doctor, correct. Than you had before. And that's really, and that's really good. It's powerful because you were at a place of like you were taking back your own health.
Correct. You have to.
Yeah.
And that's something you taught me. And like I said, you really just have to be in a different mindset. And that I say that because that really was my biggest battle. My biggest battle was my mindset. And just, I don't knock certain things, but there's certain places I just won't go anymore and eat. I refuse to. There's certain things I have to have every single day when I get up, or when I, as far as going through my day. Yeah. I realized how important vegetables and fruits are, and and certain herbs and certain things that go inside my body. It's so important. And now my son, even you mentioned my oldest son, he had gotten sick at school or something. He's like, no, I'm gonna call my mama. I know she's, and I'm like, yeah. I forgot what it was, but he's like, I'm gonna call my mama. He's like, Mama, what am I supposed to take? And I told him, and then he's on it. I have my youngest son here, and even tonight he was in the kitchen cooking. I was teaching him how to cook, and my sisters came over to eat a little while ago. It was so ironic. I was making a sweet potato for them, and I was putting the cinnamon and stuff in it, and I was using the what's the butter? I can't think of the name of it. That cotton coconut oil butter flavor. So they're like, what is this? And I said, I'm not eating it. So she put it on. She said, oh my God, this is good. I said, if y'all would just change how y'all think, and just, and quit thinking, we so used to having lard and butter, and, my mama had a whole stick of butter, and you don't have to eat like that. And you can still flavor your food, and it's just as good. But sorry, my son saying, love you. So sorry about that, y'all. My son is going to be.
Okay, we love you too.
So and so they started seeing me doing, I started losing the weight. I started toning up. They it's just the evidence was there, and
Wait. Okay, so they started doing what? What happened? You were working out and doing what? And what happened?
So I was working out and I was walking and and everything, and I would try. Sometimes I would ask them to go, and they're like, "Nah, that's okay. Y'all go ahead, y'all." But then they started like, "Hey, let's go walking. I'm gonna meet you at the tracks. We're gonna go walking." So they started walking and they started asking me questions like, my sister ended up getting COVID or something. One of my sisters, and she called me. She texted, "Hey, what should I take or what should I do?" I'm like, so y'all do be listening to me. You just act like you don't be listening to me. So I would tell them what to take. And even now to this day, they still ask me certain things. And I'm like, do this and do that and do that. And I tell them up front, I'm no doctor, y'all, but I can only tell you what works for me. And it did work for me. I can tell them things that's so important. And so, and me being the youngest, I'm like, y'all really listening to me? Yeah, winning, that's how I felt. So, they saw me go, and they saw me go through the cancer, but at the same time, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've always been such a strong-headed person, a strong-minded person. So when they saw me go through it, they saw me go through it, but they didn't see me go through it, if that makes sense. Because they still saw me so strong, and they still saw me so handling it so well, and they saw me go through the surgery, and they saw me go through radiation. And I remember laying on the radiation table. I, of course, never been through radiation before. And I would just sit there and I would be in there. I sung every time I was going in any room. I would always sing because singing is ministry to me. I love to sing. So I would just be laying there while that little, radiation is only 10 minutes. But while that little machine, I talk to you about it. I was like, okay, this machine is doing what it's supposed to do. And I would just be in this. And so even the radiologist tech would come, and they was like, I'll just be in there just singing, bro. They're like, and even they gave me the nicest card when I left the radio. It's like, you were one of our best patients. I said, well, good, but I don't want to see y'all no more. Don't get it wrong. They said, they said the way you came in there every morning, I had you go there every day for the 5 days. I went there 8:00 in the morning. It's like, but the way you come in there every day, she said, you just act like just life is so good. I said, somebody right now is having it worse than I have. I said, somebody's not getting through cancer like I'm getting through it. But, and I stopped, and what I had to do, I stopped owning cancer. I stopped, and that's what I had to really stop putting ownership on. I'm like, this is not my cancer.
Yes.
This is not mine,
Yes. That's part of that mindset work there, girl.
I said, this is not mine. This is not mine to own. So I had to stop owning that and stop owning cancer.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Okay. So doctor came in and now we got to go through a couple things. So now you gave me the down low on what the doctor said. So tell me about like the menopause and what he said about that and what he said about some of your other functions and all that good stuff. So your vitamin D, because that's a major thing with cancer, patients generally.
Well, we'll do for right now. My vitamin D is at, I think, if I'm not, I don't have the paper in front of me. I think I told you the number, but he said that how high my vitamin D was. And I remember when I first got there, my vitamin D was low or lower, but no one taught me about, especially as African-American, how our vitamin D should be higher than what it is. And I can't say what specific numbers it should be, but I just know that at the time, my vitamin D, and I'm not saying that played a part in it. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to say that, but my vitamin D was very low. So today he was saying how high my vitamin D was, and he didn't want me going over a certain percentage. So I said, but doctor, is that okay? And he said, no, you're actually good. He said, it's okay. And I was like, oh, okay. And then he was like, he's like, the numbers went, and he was saying, I'm in menopause. And he's like, well, are you having hot flashes? I was like, no. He said, well, do you have cold sweats and all that? No. He's like, so when did you stop? I said, when I first started, when they first told me, I said, I went through a little process. I said, but, after working with someone, I said, I can truly say I don't have any hot flashes. I lay down and go to sleep. I said, menopause doesn't affect me. Thank God. I said, because it would scare me. I'm like 40. I don't want to go through menopause. I didn't want any more children, but I didn't want to go through menopause. But I know supposedly what it did and what, But I
And
can
more so,
truly
you're talking about going through the symptoms of menopause, right?
correct
Like
the
all of
symptoms of
the,
menopause.
yeah,
Correct. And I
yeah.
was nervous about that because when they told, 'cause I had to go to my, my GYN, and she was telling me, I don't want to get too in depth, but she was saying like sexually, what this would cause, and I'm like, no, I'm 45. So I'm like, no,
Yes.
and it mentally will mess you up, and it will. But I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for the program you put me on that I can truly say I have no effects. I have, like right now, I wouldn't know I'm in menopause. I'm not sure how you're supposed to feel, but I just know that I don't have any. Because he asked me, he was going through the list, like, do you have this? Do you have this? Or you haven't? I was like, no. He's like, He's like, yes, your brain is telling you that So he was trying to explain to me why I wasn't going through menopause. And I was like, no, I can't say I said, no. He said, you don't have any hot flashes? No, I can't say I do. And I don't,
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So very good. So I am super excited. I love that one, you, like I said, you wrote you wrote your intro for the book, and I love it. I love reading it. I love talking about it. I'm so grateful that you were actually able to do it. It turned out amazing. It was great. I love, again, that your family, and that's one of the things that I love, is that your family now is like, you're a leader of your family, right? And everybody's got to have one. And when it comes to health, you're the leader. They're looking at you. They're looking at everything that you're doing. And then they're now taking your counsel on it. And that's amazing. So it's generations, like it's you, it's your kids, it's your sisters, and because you're the youngest, your sisters and brothers are older than you, your mom already does all her shit. Your mom is amazing. But just generational changes is what you're making here, what you've done. And you've also given them some, like, you fought. They saw the strength of everything that you went through, and I know that a lot of times, I am not a subscriber of the strong Black woman thing. Like, that is just not, we don't have to be that, so we've had that conversation. But we get to be vulnerable, we get to have tough times and all that stuff. But I love that you are the leader of the family. And every family has to have one, and a lot of families don't. But I'm so grateful that you're it, and that you're there for your family, and that you're continuing to do everything, because that's one of the big things is, a lot of people go through, these situations, go through cancer, and then they're always worrying about, it not coming back. And I love that whenever somebody says that to you, you're like, oh no, it's not coming back. Like, no, like, trust and believe, like, it's gone. Like, it's never coming back. And even when they try to put that on you, you're like, no, you don't get to put that on me. So I love it. I love it. I want to tell you, thank you. Oh, excuse me. You said I need some more tea.
You know what, while you drinking that tea, what's so, and also now with my friends and with the influences that I have, it's so, even there's days I reach out and my, hey, Ta-Wanda, such and such, but then there's time I'm like, I know exactly what to tell them to do. Yeah. My friend and his family and my girlfriend, they reach out to me like, Lisa, hey, what should I do? And I'm like, hey, I know what you need. We need to do this. Let's get this. Let's get this. And when it works, I'm like, wow. And they really believe in me. And it's like, they feel like, and even someone said something to me today. He made a comment. He's like, this is what you're supposed, when I was telling about what the doctor was saying. And I was like, he said, this is what you're supposed to be doing. He said, you're supposed to tell your story. And you're supposed to help people. This is what, and I'm like, who, me? He said, you have helped so many people just through this time I've known you, that this is what you're supposed to be doing. And me, I'm like, I'm a girl. Nah, I don't take credit for anything. I'm like, well, Lord, maybe this is. I'm like, and that's when you say, Lisa, do you want, I want you to tell your story. And I can go on and on and on about my story, because there's so many parts that we missed on it, but we'll be over here all night long talking about my story and what I went through. But it's like, now so many people reach out to me to get help, or to get, even I had I used to do lives on on my Facebook. So many women reached out to me on my messenger because of certain things, the way they saw the way I went through it. And I was, at the time I was either going through it or just finish it. And so many, reach out to me, it's like, Lisa, what if, and can I do this and can I do such? I'm like, wow. And it makes me feel great. And I'm like, Lord, I really want to help so many more people out. And I'm like, and I need to stop being so shy or stop being so timid. Like, Lisa, go out there and reach, even you talk to me so much about it. Cause I'm like, I have a story to tell, and I need to start telling it because someone needs to hear what I went through. I'm an ordinary woman that you changed. I'm stubborn, but I'm a sweetheart. But I am a strong-headed woman. So for you to be able to really, but if you can change, and I even put this in, when I wrote the forward part, if you can change my mindset from I'm a youngest of 7, I'm a baby, and I'm spoiled rotten, but I'm also strong because I've had to raise 2 boys on my own. So there's a mind, and with my job that I have, but if you can change my mindset, it's the possibilities is there because I'm hard for you to change, but
so
you did.
What I'm gonna do, I would love to take the credit for changing your mindset, but I honestly I can't take credit for it because I didn't do it. You changed your mindset. You went through all the work. You did the work that we were doing. You had, answered the tough questions and, did all that. That was all you. Like, I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. Like, even with the healing, like your body healed itself because you did the work, because you were willing to be consistent and to be disciplined and to give up a lot of things that you were used to. You changed your whole foundation, your whole structure of what, 40 whatever years, like you changed that, in a moment, in an instance. So I can't even take credit for that. Like, I don't heal the body heals itself as long as you give it what it needs and as long as you get out of its way. Right. And that's what you did. You were able to step back and get out of your own way and allow your body to heal to do a healing process and for it to, and you just gave it what it needed in order for it to heal itself. And that's all we can do. And you were able to do that. And that's the tough part for a lot of people. Even some of the stuff I probably gave you, you were probably already doing or had already done it. But what we did was we put it in order so that, everything would work and build on itself. So instead of you doing number 2, when you should have been doing number 1, like you actually did the work. But yeah, boo, I wish I could take the credit for it, but I can't because that was all you. Like, do you understand how many people will go through, processes and programs and not stick to the process? And you were willing to stick through this whole process and this whole journey. And now you're on the other side of it. And you're still growing, right? Like the whole goal is optimal health. Like, you don't get healthy and then now that's it. Like, it's still a lot of work. And I know that you're still putting in a lot of work because we're still working.
Oh, yes.
So nah, you get to have all that credit. You take that, like you literally take that same thing I told you when we walked out of there that day, when you did your last, what was it, the radiation? Was the last one you did? And we went on the side of the building and was walking. And
that's right.
We did the whole grounding thing. But yeah, that was you. So congratulations. And I want to tell you thank you again for truly believing in me. Like you said, you didn't know who I was. You're like, who is this Ta-Wanda woman? Like, what? And then she's telling me what to do, and she's, pointing stuff out and, doing all this other stuff. Yeah. But like you stuck with it. And you truly, I'm so grateful that you got the results that you got. I'm so grateful that your doctors were coming to you and like, well, what are you doing? What's this? Well, why are you not doing that? I remember the one time you told me the story you told me when I think one of the nurses or somebody asked you something about dairy. You're like, oh yeah, no, I don't do dairy. And you were like, they were like, well, why not? You were like, oh, because and you went down a whole, I was like, yes, like,
I did. Matter of fact, I told the doctor that again today. Matter of fact, he was asking me a question. He's like, yeah. I was like, yeah. I said, I don't like some of the things she was telling me to eat. I said, a lot of times she was telling me to eat a lot of dairy. And I told her, I was like, no, I don't eat dairy anymore. And he was like, oh, okay. So he was like, even today I told her, I was like, I don't eat dairy anymore. I said, she wants me to keep eating dairy. And I was like, no, I'm not eating dairy. Yeah. I said, he was like, he said, I really want to talk to you. I said, okay. So I was very stern on that. I did cut dairy out, and that was hard for me. I was very hard. That's something, but once again, once you learn, we lack because of knowledge, we perish because of the lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. So once you know something, then you take advantage of that and you learn from it. And that's what I had to do.
Yeah, and that's what you did, and you did it very well, apparently. So
Thank
we
you.
have 6 more months, guys, and of course we're gonna come back and we're gonna do we're gonna go over this again. We're gonna hear those wonderful words that you are good, you are in the clear, because
That's
you
right.
have not just beaten this whole process, but you changed your life so that you can have a better life and lifestyle and
Right.
legacy that you leave behind for your children. And that's what we're all about at Real Wellness: your life, your lifestyle, and your legacy, and about having a PhD in me or in you, so that you can have optimal health. That is what it's all
That's
about.
right.
It's all about optimal health and understanding your beliefs, your values, and your habits that can be leading you down the road. And Lisa, even in your story, like, you were at this place where you didn't necessarily have a health, I guess I want to say, you didn't have a disease, right? But you knew you weren't healthy. You knew something was going on. So you were in what I like to call this health purgatory state, right?
Mhm.
You're like, I know something's going on, but they're telling me everything's fine. And then you're kind of in this state. And then they're like, oh, but even in that, like,
Right.
you knew that something was going on, and they're like, oh yeah, you're good, right? Like, you're good. But then when you talk to your doctor now, he's like, yeah, you're healthier now than you were then. But even back then, they were like, oh yeah, but you're good.
That's right.
So, like, that is that's why I think your story is so powerful, because you
Oh,
have all of this. Sometimes we don't go to the doctors, we don't have the pre stuff, right?
that's
And
right.
they were able to go back and look at your pre-work, your pre health history, and then look at you during the chemo, and then look at you afterwards. And that's really good. And that's what makes your story powerful, because you have it all, and you have the story, you have, just everything with it. So
Yeah.
again,
Thank you.
congratulations. And
Thank
we will
you.
see you. We get to do this again in 6 months.
Yes,
And
I'm looking forward to it.
this one, guys, we're gonna have to have a celebration on this one. She and I are gonna go celebrate tomorrow at Juicy, but we'll make sure that you guys are in on the next celebration, okay? And thank you so much for coming on tonight. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank
You
you
are
for
a
having
good
me. Thank you
friend.
so much.
Oh, you're welcome. A wonderful, wonderful, wonderful client, but a great friend of mine. So I truly appreciate you, and thank you again. And we shall see you soon, okay?
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.